Tell the truth.
Wouldn't it be better if a leather holster could lock? With limited carry options, responsible gun owners know the frustrations that come with carrying a gun. Unlike leather,
tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV. BS3 Network is now on Roku TV under BS3 TV. Download today.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Information is power. Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
What's up, everybody? Peace, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is the Information Man. Thank you for your patience and trying to get this broadcast going today. Today, I definitely want a lot of audience participation. I'm going to read comments that people have to say. What I want to do is examine, we kind of know, or we kind of are aware of what took place. But I want to reinforce some things right now. What happened to Tyre Nichols was no coincidence. It wasn't happenstance. It wasn't an isolated situation. The Scorpion unit, which has been disbanded, as you know, or may not know, CJ Davis, the police chief, she disbanded the unit that she actually put together herself. I am going to have some criticism for her, but it's not going to be like Jason Woodlock getting into these issues around her being a single mother, which she isn't, and all this other nonsense that he was talking about. I'm just looking at it from a practical policing issue in which there was a big failure. She has a history, from what I understand. Miss Davis I'm going to put her picture up here for you all to see. From what I understand, she has a history in Atlanta where I think she was dismissed from her duty, or she was fired, let go in Atlanta as a police officer there, where she was involved in a program just like the Scorpion unit called Red Dawn, I believe. And that had some problematic issues. She also failed to do her duty as it related to, I think it was a sex type of scandal, some type of case around someone being sexually abused and what have you. She originally came from Durham, North Carolina, where they praised her in Durham. Let me just give you a little bit of a quick background. The former member of the police department in Atlanta, she took over for Jose Lopez during the time she served as a Durham police chief. City leader said that Chief Davis was able to change the culture in the city by bringing down the use of force. What happened and what went wrong in the police unit that she ran in Memphis? In 2021, Davis left Durham and took over as police chief in Memphis, becoming the first woman to ever lead a Memphis Police Department and the first outsider to lead the department since 1970. If you can hear me, ladies and gentlemen, which I hope, put a 7 in the chat room, which I'm hoping that you all can hear me just fine. Let me know that you're hearing the broadcast. Everything is coming out just fine for you. Just want to make sure by hitting those 7s, get those algorithms moving and going. I'm a little bit late behind, but I'm here, everybody. I thank you. A little bit busy. You know, life gets in the way. Let me continue on. Now, while it is sad to see her leave, this is what they said about her in Durham. They were excited for the next chapter of her extraordinary career. Durham City Manager Wanda Page, at the time of Davis' move, 5-year tenure in Durham has been transformative, as she became a valuable member of a great community, champion community policing in the city, as well as among police officers and staff. Now, this is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. What happened with her? As we got to keep it real. I'm sticking based on the police facts here. What went wrong between her being what they thought or felt was a good police chief in Durham, North Carolina? What went wrong in Memphis? Now, we know that they have been highly trying to recruit officers, black officers, to join these police departments. I think Atlanta did the same thing. From what I understand, Memphis did the same thing, right? Then there's this talk about them lowering standards and what have you. Look, the truth of the matter is it takes you more hours, more training to become a beautician, to become someone who does hair, than it does in the hours that you're taking to give someone a gun and a badge, a gun that can be used to take someone's life. So there's something wrong with our policing. The policing system in this country, I believe, is broken on so many fundamental levels, from not only not just the basic training, but the people that they're recruiting, the attitudes of the officers, the police culture. See, those guys, those 5 or those 6, those 7, I think they fired 7 of them now. The white guy, Preston, they fired him, but they fired him after people had to bring a lot of noise and smoke to saying, okay, you fired 5 black officers immediately, which we've never seen in a history before this happening, right? We've got white officers who have attacked, who have taken the life of black men. And then when it comes to the justice being served, everyone's telling us to relax, let justice take its place. It's okay. These guys are getting off on bail. They got people out there collecting money for them, the whole 9 yard. 5 black men got caught with their hands in a cookie jar here. And they are immediately fired and they are immediately charged. We've never seen that before. So we do know there is some applicable bias here. This is not to take them off the hook for what they did to Brother Nichols, Tyre Nichols, but it shows you that there is something broken in the policing system. And the reason why the policing system is broken, because the police system, as you may know and may not know, the policing system in this country comes out of slave patrols. See, policing was never meant to serve the overall public in our society. Policing was always meant to occupy and control black bodies. That's the truth.
Tell the truth.
Anybody that tells you that that's not true, they a lie and the truth ain't in them. Policing originally comes out of slave patrols, or what we call bounty hunting. So when black people were on plantations trying to escape to go up north yonder, they would send out what you call your David Crockett's, your frontiersmen. You see those symbols, the frontiersmen. You have the guys with the hats on, the skunk hats and all that sort of stuff. A lot of those individuals were bounty hunters. So before you had traditional policing in this country, you had what you call posses, people that would get on horses and horseback guns and go chasing after people to get bounties on them, right? Because, right? So before police, you had sheriffs and you had all these but before policing got really to what it is today, those same individuals that were bounty hunting, going after black people, escaping from plantations, those individuals, once policing really start to take off and take its hold in this society, those same individuals who got their first taste of chasing after people, black people, they went into what we would call traditional policing, as traditional policing became more conservative in terms of wearing the uniform and a badge. Now, you've always had sheriffs. You look at old Western movies in the West, you've always had sheriffs. You've always had these individuals, but at that time, policing isn't what it is today. I'm telling you that a lot of these individuals who went into policing, who were messing with black people in slavery, went into policing. And when black people came out of slavery into Reconstruction, then you got Jim Crow. These same type of individuals were occupying our communities. You ask yourself, why is there an adversarial relationship between police and black people? It all goes back to slavery. It all goes back to Reconstruction. It all goes back to Jim Crow. They've always occupied our communities. They never were in our communities to help and keep the peace. That's why black people have a disposition towards police. When you look at Los Angeles, California, for example, most of the reason why black people in Los Angeles historically had a problem with policing, because when black people migrated from the South and went west, they begin to recruit all those bounty hunters and they start recruiting those, what do you call those, people that would, on slave plantations, you would have these overseers. That's right. All these individuals that were overseers, people who did horrible things to us on those plantations. When black people started moving to the West over a period of time, those same individuals who had a history or their family had a history of that, they got recruited by Los Angeles police departments. And those guys start migrating to the West Coast and becoming police officers, which is why the relationship has always been a difficult relationship. Daryl Gates, back in the 80s or the late 90s or early 90s and late 80s, he put together a task force, just like the Scorpion unit that they've disbanded in Memphis, to attack gangs. But in doing so, they were attacking young black men who weren't even in gangs, but just were walking down the street, minding their own damn business, and then they were getting stopped by police.
Tell the truth.
And being labeled gang members because they might wear a hat or a color or a particular jacket that you associate with gangs. When I was in high school, everybody used to wear the starters jackets back in the 80s, late 80s, mid 80s, early 80s, things of that nature, right? And people would wear the little baseball caps with the starter jackets. Well, people begin to associate that with gangs, particularly black gangs. And if you wore that, you were told you couldn't wear the starter jacket to school, you couldn't wear the hat, you couldn't wear any of this, and you were getting labeled, okay? So this stuff is a cycle here. What happened to Tyre Nichols was not isolated. Now you say, well, it was black cops. To your black conservatives and to your white conservatives, oh, it was black people who beat them up. See, this shows you that it ain't just white cops beating black people. No, the majority of black people, when it comes to policing, we are harmed heavily by white police. However, black police in our community have always, in general, have put a tough hands on us as well. OK, there's been lots of black police out there who will be just as nasty as white police, because the truth of the matter is they have joined. When it comes to policing was something that was created by white nationalists. Black people didn't create policing. So basically, we joined the police force with this idea that we're going to change it, when we're really integrating into white nationalism, which is nothing but white supremacy. And you begin to take on their philosophy, their Norways and fourways about how you go about policing. Or if you step out of line and you don't follow that blueprint, then you can be ostracized by the blue. OK, case in point, how many of you in the chat room today remember Mrs. Horn, Karine Horn from Buffalo, New York? I talked about this about a week ago, and she stopped her white counterpart officer. She worked for the police department there because he was about to damn near kill or take the life of a black man. She stepped in and stopped him and then went to report him. And then what did they do? They discredited her. They fired her, threw her out of the police department in Buffalo. And she had over 20 years or more and didn't get her pension. All these years, she's been fighting to get her pension to be recognized. And she has finally gotten her pension because she had to go to court. She had to go through a long process to demand what was rightfully hers. So this whole idea, and you're going to hear people say this, that, oh, there are good police, there are bad police, but there are more good police than there are bad police. I'm going to tell you right now, if there are good police, why is it that every time this happens, the good police are nowhere to be found, ladies and gentlemen? I want to put a ticker down here, and I want you to read this ticker very carefully as you hear me speak. These are statistical numbers about policing in America. Current, right now, you see that ticker right there, ticking down there. Check that ticker out as I'm talking. So the question is, if there's such great police, why is it that every time these things happen to young brothers like Tyre Nichols, Trayvon Martin, Castile, you've had, I can name it. You can name it. Mike Brown. Why is it that every time these incidents happen, someone will say, well, this is not all police. There's good police. Well, damn it. If there are good police, why don't they come out and stop it when it's happening? Why is it that all of a sudden when this happens, there just seems to be no good police around? You saw the video with Tyre Nichols. Nobody helped him. There was no aid provided to him. There was no good police that night who stepped in. Now, I'm telling you right now, Everybody that was on that scene that night is guilty as damn sin.
Tell the truth.
Preston, who was the one who put the taser on him, the white boy who said, "Oh, I hope they stump him," he deserves to be prosecuted just as if he took that man's life. And any of the officers who stood around and did nothing to aid and render assistance, they deserve to be prosecuted. This is why. For example, let me show you this here, right here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at the EMT. They all got fired because why? They stood around. They did nothing. They did not assist, right? They did not assist in any way, shape, or form in the situation. Let me play a video for you. They literally lost their license. They got fired, ladies and gentlemen, because they stood around and watched and did nothing and did not render Tyre Nichols aid that could have saved his life. Who knows? Maybe he would still be alive in the hospital fighting for his life had all three of them did their job. Now, I want you to see this video that I'm going to show you. I appreciate all of you that have come over to watch this program. I know I started late, but the importance is the information that I'm giving you right now.
What
Check
you just
this out.
witnessed was 19 minutes, approximately 19 minutes of video where emergency care and aid was not rendered to patient TN.
After watching video of Memphis police beating Tyre Nichols, the board in charge of Tennessee's emergency medical services met to decide whether to suspend the licenses of 2 Memphis Fire Department personnel for not providing on-scene medical treatment.
Multiple points in the video, there are times when respondents are standing, not offering care, not offering treatment.
The department says for 19 minutes, emergency medical technicians Robert Long and Jamichael Sandridge did not examine Nichols, check his vital signs, provide an IV, or monitor his heart.
Mr. Sandridge did not administer basic and limited advanced skills. Mr. Long did not provide basic emergency medical care.
The department's recommendation for Long and Sandridge?
The department is asking for both individuals to be summarily suspended.
All 11 members of the Emergency Medical Services Board who were present voted in favor of the suspensions and weighed in on what they saw in the video.
Every reason to believe those actions may have contributed to the demise of that patient.
This individual was summoned to render care for a patient in distress and
Tell the truth.
failed his duty to act.
These individuals are tasked with being a patient advocate, and they were not an advocate for the patient in these situations.
This is egregious behavior for any human being. This is not the reflection of EMS in the state of Tennessee.
2 EMTs now suspended as the fallout continues over the beating of Tyre Nichols and who could have intervened to save his life.
I think that it's obvious to even a layperson that he was in terrible distress and needed help, and they failed to provide that help. They were his best shot, and they failed to help.
Alex Coleman, WREG.
There it is, folks. So these 2 individuals lost their license because they were the EMTs who were on site. They sat there, they watched the situation and did nothing, rendered no care to this brother. So the question is, if they're going to fire medical personnel, right? And when you become a medical technician, you give a pledge to help people when they're in distress. They didn't live up to their pledge. But if they're going to fire them for standing around and doing nothing, then certainly, ladies and gentlemen, they have to fire all the officers that are out there that they haven't told us about, because they certainly tried to keep this man a secret right here, right? He's the one, ladies and gentlemen, who said, "I hope they stump him." He's the one. We just got to keep it 100% real here. Preston, this Officer Preston, or whatever we call him, this garbage right here you see before you on the screen, he's the one who had the taser. He's the one that was setting back and giving all the black officers water because they also pepper sprayed them. He's the one that was running around. Now they're saying because he didn't go to the 3rd or 2nd scene That's the reason why he didn't get fired right away, or he didn't get charged right away. That's the BS that they tell us. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat room. Jill's Chocolate. I see One Busy Mama. Nikki C. Divine Perfection. Thank you for being here. Deborah Guns. Trump said. Another Gmail. Wow. Just Alicia. What's going on? What's going on, my sister? Let me put you up. What's going on there? That whole team should go down. Yes, they should all go down. Alicia, they should all go down. Hope I'm pronouncing that correct. They should all go down. Kenja G, thank you for coming over. I see you in the chat room. Thank you. But this man that you see right here, he sort of slipped behind the curtain. They didn't want to talk about him, right? And we already know why they didn't want to talk about this guy right here. Okay, they wanted to keep it a secret from all of us. He should have been charged. Everybody on that scene should be charged for every part that they played. Now, just as they did this, they got rid of the EMTs, as I said before, who were involved in a lot of this nonsense. 2 EMTs, the brother in the middle, white guy on the far left, had their license suspended after a review found that they did not help Tyre Nichols for 19 minutes. He laid prone on the ground. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about when you say he laid prone on the ground. This is the unfortunate evidence of it all. He's laying prone on the ground. There he is, laying prone on the ground. On the ground, Robert Long and Jamichael's sandwich did not do a damn thing.
Tell the truth.
And that's part of the problem, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what's difficult about this whole situation for me personally is that this was a routine traffic stop that should have never happened to this young brother right here. Let's go from start to finish here. Let's go right here. January 7th, 2023, Tyre Nichols was pulled over. A 29-year-old black man was pulled over by police for alleged reckless driving. So, okay, if his driving was reckless, why would you pepper him? Why would you pull him out the car like that? Why would you punch him? Why would you not render any care to him? Why would you why would you say that he threatened you or you felt for your safety because he ran from you? There's no way you can feel threatened for your life if a man is running away from you. There's just no way you can. Let's go on to the next one. January 10th, ladies and gentlemen, Tyre Nichols' death. Nichols died 3 days after being detained by Memphis police. January 18th, ladies and gentlemen, federal investigation began. Kevin G. Ricks, United States Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee, announced that the FBI and the DOJ are investigating the incident. Well, if you investigate it properly, Preston should have been named a long time ago. Now, he's been fired, ladies and gentlemen. They did fire him. I believe he was fired on Friday. But you notice how they kept it a secret. They really didn't want to throw his name out there like they had thrown it. They had everybody's pictures out there, right? They showed you everybody. They showed you the five officers here. And definitely they got a history, and I'm going to talk about that tonight. right? They threw them out there, which they should have been exposed for their effery, but they kept it secret about him. And now I'm finding out there's a 7th officer that they've had to fire. So he's been fired. But the question is, okay, he's been fired. Okay, he's been fired, but he needs to be charged. Okay? He needs to be fired. He needs to be charged. Along with being fired, they need to charge him for his part. He should be setting up in jail with them. Now, there's been a rumor out there, and I want everybody in the chat room to let me know if this is true or not. There's been a rumor out there that the 5 officers have posted bond. Is that true? Yes or no? Let me know, because I got that information kind of late, but we don't know if that's actually accurate information. Were they able to post bond? Because that should have never happened. This is the area where Tyre Nichols laid when they did the harm that they did to him. This was the street right here. The whole thing is crazy. They're going to tell you and me, and you're going to hear conservatives of all races, all creeds tell you on these YouTube streets and in mainstream media that he shouldn't have run. But wait a minute. He ran because he feared for his life, and this Scorpion unit has a history of terrorizing black people in this community. I've got video of brothers who live in the community that are going to tell you exactly what's been going on in that community. I'm talking about in the gritty streets of Memphis. These brothers right here, you're going to get the audio. These brothers right here are going to tell you how it really goes down in Memphis. That's a neighborhood in Memphis where that Scorpion unit's been patrolling and causing a lot of problems. Oh, you're going to get it. You're going to get it today on the Information Man Show.
Tell the truth.
They're going to tell you, well, you shouldn't run. Maybe he was running, ladies and gentlemen, because he feared for his life. Let's hear from a former officer. You probably have seen this. It's been going around the YouTube streets. Let's listen to this brother. His name is Brandon Williams. He used to be an officer in Memphis. He knows those 5 individuals, those black officers who did the deed to him, along with this individual that you see on the screen right there. He's going to tell you the real deal because he was in that department. Let's hear it right now, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, guys? So a lot of you know me for my Spanish content, but a lot of you also know that I was a former Memphis police officer between the years of 2016 and 2021. And I just want to give some insight into the Tyre Nichols incident that's going on with my former police department, so stay tuned. So people have been asking me, I left the department in the end of 2021 after 5 years of service, and people ask me all the time, what do you think about the Tyre Nichols incident moving forward? And there are some points that I want to point out after watching the video and kind of seeing what's been going on in Memphis that I think will be really interesting to you. So 2 of the 5 officers I did patrol with personally and did have a personal relationship with 2 of the 5. So I'm going to be talking from a personal standpoint and from a standpoint as a former Memphis police officer and what I see moving forward. And even though I know 2 of the 5 personally and I patrolled with them personally and had a relationship with them,
tell the truth.
This in no way excuses any of their actions that partook about 2 weeks ago with the Tyre Nichols incident. The first thing I want to talk about, which is utter BS, is you'll see a lot of conservatives, but you see a lot of far-right conservatives that say, why did he run? He would still be alive if he ran. That's not a guarantee. So the first thing that came out was that this all started because this was a reckless driving. But now the chief of the department is saying that there is no evidence of reckless driving, which means you can't say that if he never ran that he would still be alive when the stop was illegal in the first place. Now, I have had to pull out people ripped people out of a car aggressively at gunpoint with foul language many a times. But most of those people were murderers, robbers, sexual assaulters, the worst of the worst, where you needed to meet violence with violence. Never once did I put my gun in the face of somebody who I suppose for reckless driving, right? So from the get-go, you have a man who was not guilty of anything fleeing from the police because he's scared, because he doesn't even know why he's getting pulled over in such an aggressive manner. So as a black male, I probably would have ran too, and I was the police for 5 years. Number two, there is no way, form, or fashion that you take a police boot and you strike a man's face multiple times while he's on the ground. No form, no way, no fashion. There is no way that that is excusable. I don't care who you're fighting. A kick to the face right here, that could be lethal. And unless you're trying to intentionally kill somebody, that is not a tactic that is taught, nor should ever be used. Number three, if you are a police officer, I don't care how cool you are, people, you never, ever, ever let your fellow officer
tell the truth.
Do anything that you wouldn't let be done to you. You are just as guilty as the lynch mobs who used to lynch black people and watch them die and get lynched.
Tell the truth.
Even though they never put a hand
Facts.
on, you are just as guilty. And my last point, everybody from the beaters to the paramedics to the regular officers on the scene that stood there and watched is going to lose their job, and should, because once you look at somebody, no matter what crime they did, and you take the human out of them, you have now also lost your humanity and now your freedom.
I want everybody to pay attention to what I have on the screen. That's Tyre Nichols skateboarding. I want you all to pay attention to what I'm going to read to you right here. The United States Police in the U.S. killed 164 black people in the first 8 months of the year 2020. Now, I'm not talking about something that just happened in ancient history. This is recently. Yeah, it is the year 2022. Yeah, it is. But as you see the ticker down here, and I'm going to read this ticker tells you everything you need to know. The ticker below is saying this, ladies and gentlemen, as it gets ready to show its head again. Sadly, the trend of fatal police shootings in the United States seems to only be increasing, with a total of 1,096 civilians having been shot, 225 of whom were black in 2022. As of January 25th, 2023, there were 79 fatal police shootings. In 2021, there were, and I've read that to you already, there was 1,048 fatal shootings. Additionally, the rate of fatal police shootings amongst black Americans was much higher than that for any other ethnic background, standing at 5.9 fatal shootings per million of the population per year between 2015 and January 2023. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
So if anybody tells you on these YouTube streets that, well, you know, black people don't get as much money, but we're getting shot. I found an article today, ladies and gentlemen, that shoots down the myth that white people are being killed more than black people when it comes to policing. And I'll be presenting that to you at a later date. There was an article, I read through it, and it was some extraordinary. And some of those numbers that I got from that article is what you see right here. I'm going to surprise you, because people think that the most dangerous job in the world is being a police. No, it's not. I'm going to surprise you with data from the labor statistics about that. So don't go anywhere today, because we're just getting heated up. This young brother should be with us today. He should not be gone because of what they did to him. I want their family to get justice. I did not appreciate, I don't know how many of you saw the funeral with Al Sharpton. I didn't appreciate it. This is why I didn't appreciate it. I kept hearing people saying this is what God wanted for Brother Nichols. I kept hearing people saying this is what it was meant for him to be. No, it's not meant for you to be dead. He's only gone from the third dimension because of those 5 knucklehead cops. 6, 7 cops, all those damn cops that were out there, the 5 black cops, the white cop, Preston, who's been fired now and should be charged. Now there's a 7th cop that they have fired and should be charged, and everyone else that stood out there. No, this was not meant. It wasn't meant for him to. I just did not like the Reverend Al Sharpton and all these individuals setting up here telling us, let me let you see something. Let me let you see an image of the Rev Sharpton and tell me, should this be your preacher? Let me find that iconic picture of him. It's going to make you laugh when you see it. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen. Ow, greasy head Sharpton. Let me put that in there. Hang on, ladies and gentlemen. I want y'all to see this picture because it's going to make you laugh. Ow, greasy head Sharpton. I didn't like it because everybody kept talking about, oh, it was meant for what happened, and no. And of course, you get the usual suspects who show up when these things happen to black men, right? The usual people, the Al Sharptons. Let me fix it. Let me stretch this a little bit. There you go. And let's take that off. Look at Al Sharpton. Look at him. I truly had a problem with Al Sharpton's sermon. He seemed to focus so much on himself. And then this whole thing about, I'm going to say it again. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to take a vote in the chat room. What's going on? The Grown Little Boys podcast. What's going on, brother? Right on, brother. I see you in the chat room. Brother has a fantastic podcast. You got to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Has a fantastic podcast. And he's my brother there. Good to see you coming over and joining us over here, my brother. Peace and respect to you. But let me say this to you. And I want everybody in the chat room, put a 7 in the chat room if you agree with what I'm about to say, and an 8 if you're not sure. But ladies and gentlemen, from the bottom of my heart and my mind, it seems like the only time that black men are celebrated in America is when we are, you know what I'm about to say, when we are dead. It seems like we gotta be dead, not alive, and then everybody wants to come out and celebrate us. But when we're alive, walking and talking and moving, nobody celebrates us because nobody gives a damn. Black Lives Matter made $90 million off the lives of black men alone, and then they went and changed their website to all this intersectionality and alternative lifestyle and turn to family structures. All of this off the life of black men. Nobody cares about us. So when we die, that's when everybody comes out, gives us a sermon. That's when the Al Sharptons of the world, who takes photos like this on social media that's inappropriate for a preacher. Totally inappropriate for a preacher. And he gets up there and give his sermon. And then we get people telling us how, God had a plan and that plan was for us to die that way. That's BS. Then, of course, you get the usual suspects. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe to the show, baby.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to
You
subscribe
get the
to this
usual
channel.
suspects like the Benjamin Crumps of the world, right? And I know people are saying, leave Crump alone. He's picking up the cases. Yeah, but he's the only black man who they seem to call upon to deal with the case as if he's the only civil rights attorney. And he's not. He's not even a trial attorney. He cuts the deals and all of that. And I just hate it because every time this happens, you have the mother or the father, and the mother is crying, which she should be crying. The mother of Tyre Nichols should be upset about what happened to her son. You have the father, right? And then you have Crump sitting up there while the family is crying and sobbing, right? And then, of course, he cuts the backroom deal, and he's going to get a percentage of that deal, no doubt, as a lawyer. And it's always the usual people. Black man dies. Here comes Sharpton. Here comes Crump. Here comes the celebration of life of a black man when he's dead. But when we're alive, we can't get no damn credit for nothing.
Tell the truth.
Now you tell me, am I telling the truth, ladies and gentlemen, by hitting a 7? Or am I lying to you? Particularly if you're a black man listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Tell the truth.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. This bothers me because it's always a celebration of a black man being dead. And then the usual suspects come out and say, we in a better place now. It was meant, God had an assignment for us. So that's the truth. God's assignment for us as black men is to be born and then to be tragedy taken down by these roughneck cops. That's our assignment? Bullshit.
Tell the truth.
But that's what they'll tell you and me. I want y'all to look at this one right here. Let me read this other one right here. Now check this out. Memphis cop Demetrius Haley, who was charged in the Tyre Nichols death, previously beat up an inmate. And you know who I'm talking about? Demetrius. Let's see what he looks like. Y'all know what I'm talking about. He's the one that they've been talking about a lot lately. We're talking about this dude right here. So check this out. This dude, Demetrius Haley, was charged in the death of Tyre Nichols, previously has a history of beating up inmates and ex-prisoner allegations. Let me this is crazy. Let's let me read something to you. Check this out. One of the 5 former Memphis police officers accused of murdering Tyre Nichols allegedly beat up an inmate nearly 8 years ago, part of a troubling series of events and behavior tied to the cops and even their boss. Uh-oh. What do they mean by that? Are they talking about Miss Davis? Could they be talking about Miss Davis, ladies and gentlemen? Tell me it's not so. Please tell me this ain't so. That could have been me, an ex-inmate. Told the Post on Saturday, I could be dead. Sledge, a 34-year-old, alleged in 2016 a lawsuit that an ex-Memphis cop, Demetrius Haley, who you see on the screen here, 30, who then worked as a correctional officer, took part. This is really a damn shame. He took part in the May 16, 2015 beat down inside the Shelby County Division of Corrections. Sledge alleged that he emerged as horrified when he saw the video release that Friday about Tyre Nichols, showed the ruthless brutality endured by Tyre Tyre Nichols, 29 years old, who was pulled over in January 7 traffic stop near his mother's home in Memphis. He died 3 days later. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that you may or may not have known about brother Tyre Nichols. Tyre Nichols, they show you on the video that he screamed out for his mother because he lived in, that's why he was running. He was trying to get to his house. He lived in that neighborhood. He not only screamed for his mother once, but he did it twice, 3 times, 4 times. He was screaming for his mother multiple times in this process at this corner right here that you see.
Tell the truth.
Sledge 34 claimed in his 2016 lawsuit that one of the 5 ex-Memphis cops, Demetrius Haley, 30, then a correctional officer, gave him a beating inside the Shelby County Division of Corrections on May 16, 2015. What are we trying to say here? What are we really saying here? We're saying that what they did to Tyre Nichols, they did it to him because they felt comfortable doing it. It was natural, ladies and gentlemen. They had probably been doing this time and time again to many people in the community, and we just didn't know about it because they never got caught before like this. Another thing, this is embarrassing for me to have to even bring this up, but there's rumors that these guys are members, at least a few of them are members. Let me break this down right here. This is really a shame. And let me say thank you to Sir Drop TV, Dever Guns, the Emerald Family Entertainment 7. Thank you for being here. J.A., that's Brother Frazier. Jill's Chocolate Boutique, thank you for being here. Identity Kill TV, or Identity ID TV. Earth, the Faith Factor, thank you for being here. Oh, Reliable. I see you, Oh Reliable. If that's the Oh Reliable that I think you are, we got Mike B in there. But let me put this back up. This is embarrassing on so many ways what I'm about to tell you. This is embarrassing. So out of these 5 members, some of these guys are a member of a black fraternity called Omega Psi Phi. One of these guys, or 2 of them, that's a member of this fraternity, was involved in it. And this is a black fraternity where, for the most part, you're taught about manhood, brotherhood, how you're supposed to treat your fellow black man and brothers a certain way. You learn history about our people. You learn the history of your fraternity. You learn to be your brother's keeper, as they say. And unfortunately, the National Black College Fraternity announced that it has revoked the membership. It's 3 of them. The membership of 3 of the Memphis police officers involved in the death of Tyre Nichols. The Greek organization Omega Psi Phi said in a statement that it booted out 3 of the fired officers who are now charged with second-degree murder, who were members of the fraternity. The Memphis commercially appeal identified them as Trey Ray Beans, Desmond Mills. So Beans, who you see on here, is a member of the fraternity. Desmond Mills, who's on here, is a member of the fraternity. Emmett Martin III on this screen. So it's 3 members that they booted out of the organization. They want nothing to do with it because they have not lived up to the aims of the organization by doing what they did. The 3 officers' names now appear on the fraternity expelled personnel list. We strongly condemn, this is a Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and I'm glad that they're doing this. We strongly condemn The conduct of former Memphis police officers involved in the incident, including 3 former members of the organization, said Grand Ambassador. The Grand Ambassador is like their president of their organization. Ricky L. Lewis, the chief executive of the fraternity. The brutality shown in the video is not only a violation of our moral sensibilities, but our transgressions, our beliefs as a fraternity, and establish a code of conduct. The fraternity also condemns the behavior of the cops involved in the Nichols death 2 days before this announcement regarding their membership being revoked from the organization. I'm going to say this, Omega Psi Phi did the right thing. And let me say this too. Ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have people, and we've heard this be said on these YouTube streets and social media alike, where people come out and they say, why is it that black people don't, you hear this from a lot of your black conservatives and your right-wing types. Why is it that when something that black people do to black people don't come out and protest, black people don't stand up and do anything, they don't hold nobody accountable, but we only get excited when it's a white person that does this? Bull crap. Because everybody is denouncing this in the black community. Everybody is talking about this in the black community, and nobody in the black community accepts this behavior. See, but you see, you don't hear any of the conservatives and the right wing and the Fox propaganda news and any of these other groups. They're not saying anything. They're quiet as a church mouse. No, we do speak out against what's wrong. Now, check this out. Now that they charged these 5 cops with murder, they've done this very early in the process. Guess what they just did, ladies and gentlemen? They gave us a blueprint. Now they can't turn around when the white cops do this and say, oh, we can't. No, you can do that because you did that. The Justice Department, the DOJ, all these departments, they can't say that they can't do A, B, and C because they've just set a precedence in what they did with the 5 black cops that they started off going after first before they eventually came around to saying, oops, oh, that's right, we got a white boy who was involved in it too. Let's brawl him in, only because we made noise about it. And the family wants what? They want justice. They want justice. Now, ladies and gentlemen, everybody that I see in the chat room, Brother Keith Weston is here. Empress Goddess is in the house. Brenda Johnson is here. Thank you. Blue Devil Gleam is in the house. Mike B, I see you, brother, saying facts. Keith is saying information, man, all facts. We now have the cheat sheet. Yeah, we have. Look, I'm so glad you said that. All of you in the chat room, I love you for that. They just, if I can say, I hate to say what I'm going to say. If there is no, can't say it like that. If there is any win in this, is that Memphis jumped out the window, the chief, because she knows that they're going to be coming for her head. I got to be honest, and I know the ladies may not like this, and I'm not doing the Jason Woodlock crap, but I got to be honest. I think that the chief, CJ Davis, I think she's going to have to be fired because the Scorpion program was created under her guise. Let me give you a video here. Let me give you some history here. Let's pull up another video and let you see this here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me let you see the next video. This is about her, Miss Davis. She's certainly got a history, and let's hear it right now.
A time when a controversial task force called Red Dog was used. Now it's similar to the so-called Scorpion unit used in the Tyre Nichols traffic stop. 11 Alive Bo Beth Yates is on the details tonight and has more on the task force and its controversial use of force policy.
That's right. For years, there have been several tactical units that have targeted crime right here in Atlanta, from the Titan unit to the Red Dogs. And now after this recent bout with police brutality, many are worried about the safety of those units.
I heard about Scorpion, the first thing I thought of was Red Dog. And of course, the killing of Catherine Johnston.
Johnston was the 92-year-old Atlanta resident shot and killed when the Red Dogs, an undercover tactical unit, entered her home during a botched drug raid. Georgia NAACP President Attorney Gerald Griggs says the video showing 6 Memphis police officers beating Tyre Nichols brought him back to negative memories.
Growing up in Atlanta in the 90s when Red Dog was at its height, you know, as a young African American, you were worried about, they were called the jump out boys, jumping out on you, even if you weren't doing anything. So I don't think a community should have to live in that kind of fear.
But Councilmember Michael Bond says the Red Dog unit was dismantled after public outcry, and steps have been taken to prevent similar incidents.
What's obvious in Memphis is that there was no accountability for these officers, because these are not tactics that they just came up with that night.
Bond says while the city does have tactical units, they are for targeted operations.
That's the core difference in Atlanta, is its management, the preparation that the officers receive, and the training that they get and the accountability that they're held to.
But Memphis Police Chief Shirlene Davis' online bio shows she led various tactical units, including the Red Dogs, during her time with Atlanta. Details that worry Griggs.
To learn the
tell the truth
operation of the Scorpion unit was instituted by a chief that came from Atlanta. I thought back to, what about the Titan unit? What about these specialized tactical units that are happening all over the state of Georgia?
Just 18 months.
Ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like to do is I would like to say I really appreciate all of you here. I see we have the Just Row show. Thank you for being here, my sister. I know this is Brother Frazier right here, J.A. Faith, are you okay? Faith Factor, is everything okay? Did something happen? The Faith Factor's in the house, she says. Kamala Harris 2.0. Yeah. And she was at that funeral, and I wasn't feeling Kamala Harris, because the Biden administration has been in office for how long now, ladies and gentlemen? 3 years, and they still can't get the George Floyd bill passed. They still haven't done anything. He hasn't made any executive order. Hell, the Asian people were being attacked in America, and they were able to pass a bill that benefited Asians who were being attacked in this country just like that. They didn't have to have a committee. There was no back and forth about it. That's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Brother Keith is in the house, the Information Man Show. There was a TikTok video of an ex. I played that video prior to you being here, brother. He's an ex-cop. His name is Brian Williams. He says what they did was wrong. He worked with those men personally. I did play that video. You're talking about this video that I did play. Let me just throw it out there again. If anybody missed this video, I will play it again, because, hey, I got so much information to provide you.
What's up, guys? So a lot of you know me for my Spanish content, but a lot of you also know that I was a former Memphis police officer between the years of 2016 and 2021. And I just want to give some insight into the Tyre Nichols incident that's going on with my former police department, so stay tuned. So people have been asking me, I left the department in the end of 2021 after 5 years of service, and people ask me all the time, what do you think about the Tyre Nichols incident moving forward? And there are some points that I want to point out after watching the video and kind of seeing what's been going on in Memphis that I think will be really interesting to you. So 2 of the 5 officers I did patrol with personally and did have a personal relationship with 2 of the 5. So I'm going to be talking from a personal standpoint and from a standpoint as a former Memphis police officer and what I see moving forward. And even though I know 2 of the 5 personally and I patrolled with them personally and had a relationship with them, this in no way excuses any of their actions that partook about 2 weeks ago with the Tyre Nichols incident. The first thing I want to talk about, which is utter BS, is you'll see a lot of conservatives, but you see a lot of far-right conservatives that say, why did he run? He would still be alive if he ran. That's not a guarantee. So the first thing that came out was that This all started because this was a reckless driving, but now the chief of the department is saying that there is no evidence of reckless driving, which means you can't say that if he never ran that he would still be alive when the stop was illegal in the first place. Now, I have had to pull out people, rip people out of a car aggressively at gunpoint with foul language many a times, but most of those people were murderers, robbers, sexual assaulters, the worst of the worst, where you needed to meet violence with violence. Never once did I put my gun in the face of somebody who I suppose for reckless driving, right? So from the get-go, you have a man who was not guilty of anything fleeing from the police because he's scared, because he doesn't even know why he's getting pulled over in such an aggressive manner. So as a black male, I probably would have ran too, and I was the police for 5 years. Number two, there is no way, form, or fashion that you take a police boot and you strike a man's face multiple times while he's on the ground. No form, no way, no fashion. There is no way that that is excusable. I don't care who you're fighting. A kick to the face right here, that could be lethal. And unless you're trying to intentionally kill somebody, that is not a tactic that is taught, nor should ever be used. Number three, if you are a police officer, I don't care how cool you are, people, you never, ever, ever let your fellow officer do anything that you wouldn't let be done to you. You are just as guilty as the lynch mobs who used to lynch black people and watch them die and get lynched, even though they never put a hand on them. You are just as guilty. And my last point, everybody from the beaters to the paramedics to the regular officers on the scene that stood there and watched is going to lose their job, and should, because once you look at somebody, no matter what crime they did, and you take the human out of them, you have now also lost your humanity, and now your freedom.
All right. He is he's telling the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Keith, that was for you, brother. I know you mentioned that. I want to play that again because I know there's people who have come in a little bit after the fact. But let me play a very powerful video as well, that I think this is the mother of Tyre Nichols. I feel for her. Put her in your prayers. She's going through a lot right now. The family's going through a lot right now, ladies and gentlemen. But let me play a video. And this sister you've seen this sister on Jason Black's videos. She was a sergeant in the LAPD, and she tells it like it is. And she does have some criticism for the chief of police, CJ Davis. But they also explain that all these police officers have infractions on their background as it relates to how they're treating people. Let's hear what this sister is talking about right now.
Dorsey, let me begin with you.
Cheryl Dorsey is her name. She's got a YouTube channel. I got to get her on my channel.
A press conference ahead of tomorrow's funeral. I want you to listen into what his stepfather had to say.
Keep fighting for justice for our son and my family. Protect my wife because she's very fragile right now. Yeah. We need that for her. Trust me. And I need it too. That's right. So, like I said, it's going to be short tonight because we got a long fight ahead of us. That's right. Yeah. And we got to stay strong for it. Understood. So, justice for Tyre. 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 Justice for Tyre.
We've been struck, Sergeant Dorsey, time and time again about the unbelievable grace that has been shown by this family, particularly after the video has been released and before, but also learning tonight that these personnel files did contain several different types of reprimands. Can you speak to what this reflects in your mind?
That these officers misbehave on a regular basis, and we have heard, and now this is corroborating evidence that folks have come in and complained about these officers, and it fell on a deaf ear. And that's why I've said that the police chief is complicit. She can't be trusted. She's got to go. She coddled, she mitigated, and as far as I'm concerned, she mitigated and minimized their behavior by allowing.
Gentlemen, and let me say peace and love to Just Laricia. I see you. I know you've changed your name. You're from Chicago. Definitely been supporting me very heavily. Peace and much respect to Just Laricia. Now, I want you all to take a look at what she's saying right here. Let's look at their record. I froze this so that you all could see this. I'm going to read it. Demetrius Haley, who I just told you, has people accusing him. I think there was a guy named Sledge who accused him of beating him when he was in prison, when he was a correctional officer. Demetrio in 2021, written reprimand, failure to document role in detention of suspects. Suspects say that she suffered a dislocated shoulder and was not charged with excessive force. That's crazy. Now we got Emmett Martin III, 2019, 3-day suspension without pay, cited for failure to properly inspect a vehicle, loading revolver found in the back of a police car. 2020, 1-day suspension without pay, failure to file request, domestic dispute report. My God. Then we got Desmond Miller Jr. of those 5 in 2019, written reprimand, failure to fill out a required form after using physical force during an arrest. These guys were out of control and should have been shut down and should have never been put apart, but brought on to that Scorpion unit. The officers charged in a connection with the Nichols death. This is a damn shame.
Tell the truth.
Let's hear the rest of this, ladies and gentlemen.
Showing them the pleasure of serving on a special unit like the Scorpions. That's generally reserved for tenured officers, seasoned officers, and to have them out there willy-nilly knowing that they are miscreants is abominable.
Well, everyone saw on the screen.
I got to get her on the show. She's got a YouTube channel. She's fantastic. She's been in some of Jason Black's programs.
Beyond and
his movies.
Charges. But to the point of the idea, and they are minor violations, I would note, and you saw suspensions without pay, a written reprimand, failing to fill out a required form after using physical force, for example, not to the extent that we've either.
I was not trying to be scared, but I was scared.
All eyes are on the Memphis Police Department Scorpion unit after the death of Tyre Nichols. Now, more people who say they were also the victims of overly aggressive officers assigned to that unit are coming forward.
Tonight, WREG's April Thompson spoke with a 19-year-old who says he was stopped while just walking down the street.
Maurice Chalmers Stokes prefers not to show his face out of fear of retaliation, but he is very forthcoming about what happened to him the evening of October 1st, 2022.
I was not trying to be scared, but I was scared.
He says he was walking down Chelsea Avenue near University Street when unmarked cars started following him. Those inside had on ski masks.
They hopped out and bomb rushed me. I was like, let me check your backpack. Don't try to run.
But he ran out of fear.
He ended up taking off running. I had bounced off a gate. When I bounced off the gate, I hit my head on the gate. I didn't know who they was. They was in unmarked cars, like regular cars like us. So I'm not thinking, y'all know police officers out top anyway. I'm already scared for my life.
He would soon learn those chasing him were police. This affidavit says the officers were assigned to MPD's Scorpion Team 1. On that team, 4 officers who've been in the spotlight over the killing of Tyre Nichols, Detectives D. Haley, D. Mills, and T. Bean. The same officers now fired and charged in the Tyre Nichols case. And also P. Hemphill, who is still under investigation. Chalmers Stokes says he had to speak out when he realized what happened, especially when he realized Demetrius Haley was one of the officers who caught him.
When he grabbed me by my backpack, he pushed me to the gate again, cut my head up. Demetrius, when he flipped me over, he acted like he was going to punch me.
Chalmers Stokes says he was never told why police were chasing him, and he complained about his head injury, but got no attention. His attorney, Andre Wharton, says the glare of the Tyre Nichols story is shining light on more cases that deserve attention.
Now, more people who's...
I want to stop it right there. So that is what happened to that young man. Let me show you another video that I think needs to be presented here tonight. Alan Christian, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
I appreciate that super chat. So with that said, this is what I'm going to do because of you giving me that super chat, and I really appreciate that. Here we go.
Thank you for the super chat.
Time to run it all. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up. Flex. Thumb down now. Check. No drip. This. Wet. Time to run it all. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Time to run it all. I wake up. Flex. Thumb down now. Check. No drip. This. Wet. Time to run it all. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Time to run it all. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands. I'm by my lonely. Turned to a savage. Now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans. Don't need no friends. I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone.
All right. All right, thank you very much for that. Let's go on to another video. I've got to show you this. I got to show you this video right here. This is it's a shame. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
When the unmarked car pulled him over at this intersection, Chase Madkins knew from a previous stop that his next move
This is Chase
crucial.
Matthews. He was.
I had to remind myself, Chase, this is how people get murdered in the traffic stops.
He called a friend and put him on speaker.
You know, just to be a witness, a conscious observer of what was taking place.
Just yards from his home, Tyre Nichols called out for his mother.
Watch out, watch out!
But she never heard him. Nichols died January 10th, 3 days after he was stopped for alleged reckless driving. 5 officers of the Memphis Police Department's now disbanded Scorpion unit have since been fired and charged with second-degree murder. Many in this majority black city are still coming to grips with how the officers could so savagely beat someone who looked like them.
Being this color, it's like we under assault right now. Like, we can kind of expect it from white officers, but now our own kind.
That this happened in the city where the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was slain fighting for civil rights makes this case all the more poignant.
It is a letdown from everything that Dr. King marched toward for us.
Erica Brown lives on the street where one of the charged officers spent part of his youth. She says police once beat and hogtied her oldest son.
They were taught to protect and serve, but they chose to take their badge and do what they wanted to do.
They go into these poor black communities and they do mass pullover operations, terrifying everybody in that community.
Activist Hunter Dempster says units like Scorpion use basic infractions as a pretext to pull people over, hoping to find something more serious. And he says most of those cases are never prosecuted.
These police forces are purveyors of poverty, perpetuators of poverty, looking for poverty crimes to hem poor people up.
It was Dempster Madkins called when he was pulled over about 2 months ago. Madkins says the officer who stopped him was in tactical gear with no name tag or visible badge.
It could have been a boogeyman for all I know. You know.
The officer searched Madkins but never cited him, nor did he ever identify himself.
If the Just Roll show, sister, I'm not sure if those officers are married or any of the individuals that were attacked. I don't know if this brother is married. I don't know if those officers are married. And I got to be honest with you, I feel bad because if they are married, they're going to put it's going to cause financial burden and financial strife for their family members, their child, their wife, whoever, because of what they did now, because they're going to jail. They're going to prison for this. Or they're in prison right now. Now, there's been a rumor that they made bail. I don't know how true that is. Someone in the chat room, if you know whether those officers have made bail, but they're going to a trial. And I believe that they're going to go to jail because when 5 black officers do something that normally we expect white officers to do, they're going to hold us to a higher standard. You know that. Anytime black people do something, good or wrong, we're always held to a higher standard. And they should have known better than this. But it seems that they don't, because they've been doing this for some time, ladies and gentlemen. I got my man, Lions Den AK says that 3 of the officers were, I talked about that, Lions Den. The members of Omega Psi Phi fraternity has expelled them, gotten rid of them. They're no longer members. They've made a statement. We got Wow Will 454 in the house. Good to see you here, brother. I appreciate you. I hope you all can hear me. I hope you all can hear. Put a 1 in the chat room. Deborah Gunn says, let me put what she put in here. Deborah Gunn says $250,000 bail. So are you saying, Sister Deborah Guns, that they were able to make bail of the tune of $250,000 and they're now out? We got the beautiful Bernice who's in the house here, saying thank you, Deborah. Yeah, thank you, Deborah Guns. Thank you, Deborah Guns. Everyone is hitting 1s. Can you hear me? Put a 7 if you can hear me, or 1 if you can hear me. I just want to make sure. I'm always paranoid about whether you guys can hear me. We got Brenda Johnson. It's so good to see Brenda Johnson in the house here. Good to see you by way of Europe. Brenda Johnson. Okay, so everybody can hear. Yes, I appreciate that. And I appreciate Deborah Guns dropping that information on us. Let's see. Tammy says their bond should have been revoked due to being a danger to the community. They murdered an innocent civilian. Yes, they should have never been given bond. But you know the way the courtroom, it's going on. Screwlistic is in. He says loud and clear. Good. Because I didn't know. Blue Devil is in the house. And let me let you all know, ladies and gentlemen, you noticed that my last video, for those of you who think that video was taken down, it wasn't. What YouTube does is that when you have sensitive content, they will put a restriction on, an age restriction on it, so that anytime someone clicks into the video, it asks you, do you want to proceed to the video? So if you're using it on desktop, all you have to do is wait for it to process, and you'll see a little white strip that says proceed. If you're watching by cell phone, you just click confirm. So, and when they do that, the video doesn't get a lot of views. They don't promote it. That's why the video, I think I got about 8 something views on it. It would have gotten more views, but YouTube suppressed the video because of the sensitive content. Today, I'm not trying to show you too much harsh stuff today, so this video should get some room to grow. But let's hear the rest of what this brother is saying.
We don't know how that would have played out had Hunter Dempsey not arrived on the scene and been, filmed from a distance.
Rochelle, it's good to see you, my sister. Vanderpool, good to see you.
Atkins was among the hundreds who attended Nichols' funeral.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sick of listening to preachers like Al Sharpton. I'm going to say what I said earlier in the show for those of you who might have not been here. Doesn't it seem like the only time that black men get celebrated is when we are dead? When some tragedy has occurred towards us. Then everybody comes out and wants to praise us. Then everybody wants to come out and say that it was God's will for us to leave like that. I don't believe that. He was killed by he was killed by the devil. God doesn't take us out like that in a horrific way. That was 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever number of cops it was who had free will to think for themselves, and they didn't. And what did they do? They made bad choices that night. Even if Tyre Nichols was speeding or he ran a red light, what he did not call for him to be peppered, for him to be beaten, tased, the whole 9 yards. And as you heard from Brandon Williams, who was a cop, he said that just because he ran, if he had not ran, it doesn't mean that he wouldn't have been killed that night. It just doesn't work that way. And you got people that are running around on YouTube saying that if he didn't run, he wouldn't. That's not true. He could have, if you notice, when he didn't run, he told the officers, he said, okay. He was trying to calm the officers down, as I said in the first video. He said, okay. He was the one that was more calm in the beginning than they were. They would have literally harmed him as they already did when they got their hands on him again. So this whole notion that if we don't run, we gonna be okay is a lie. He ran for safety. He's running away from the officers so he can't be a danger to the officers. Now, let me give you another video here, ladies and gentlemen, to give you more food for thought as we get close to a conclusion of this program today. And I really appreciate everybody that's come over. But let's talk about this dude, Preston, who they tried to keep secret from us. Let's hear this again about him. And thank you, Vanderpool, for being here.
Officer is off the job in connection
Rochelle,
to the death
I
of
thank you
Tyre
for that.
Nichols. MPD confirming to me this morning that they relieved Officer Preston Hemphill of duty at the start of this investigation over 3 weeks ago. But they never released his name along with the other officers.
Now, MPD has not confirmed Hemphill's role in the traffic stop, but they did tell us this is an ongoing investigation. We're also not sure if he also faces any charges, but Hemphill's lawyer, Lee Gerald, confirming in a statement that Hemphill is the officers whose body cam footage we see in the initial stop of Tyre Nichols. He also says that Hemphill was not at the second scene and that he is cooperating in that investigation. Hemphill was hired by MPD back in 2018. We're going to give you an update both on air and online when we learn more.
Yeah, he was the officer who was seen in that body cam footage tasing Tyre Nichols. That is the important thing to note in that first body cam footage.
Let me just say this right here. So that's when they brought his name up because people were making noise, as I said earlier in the program today. He was fired on Friday. What I want everybody to take a look at is, are they going to charge him in the same way that they're going to charge the 5 black officers? Martin III, Demetrius, Bean, all those guys are going to be held. They're going to be charged heavily. I'm saying again, as I said in the beginning of this program, they should all pay the price, even the officers who stood there and did nothing. I said earlier, before some of you came into the chat room, and those of you watching, that they fired the 2 EMT. They fired them. I showed you the video. They lost their license. They're fired. Why? Because they stood around and did nothing to render him health and comfort when he needed it. So he's fired. So all the officers who stood around should be fired as well. And this whole, don't give me this notion that, oh, there's lots of good cops. Well, where were the good cops to take control of that situation that night? They were out there beating on that man like it was WW wrestling because they've been doing this before. They felt comfortable doing it, which is why they didn't care about cameras. Now, you did see them looking at cameras. Now, if you go look at that footage again, you're going to see the officers looking at the cameras up high. They were trying to be sneaky that night, but it came back to bite them in the butt because God don't like ugly.
Tell the truth.
And now let me let you see this video. This is very important. I appreciate you all sticking with me. I ran a little bit late today, but I'm giving you full value here. I know people are talking about this over YouTube. I do my best to give you a comprehensive program, giving you some nitty details here and there. So let's go ahead and let me just bring something up to you before I show you this gritty video. Now, everybody thinks that being a cop is the most dangerous job. That's not true. Check this out, and please listen to what I'm about to tell you. Logging work, people who work in logging, meaning cutting down trees and big trees. Logging workers had the highest fatality injury rates in 2021 amongst occupations. Fishing and hunting workers also had higher rates last year based on the Bureau of Labor Statistic data. There were nearly 2,000 transportation incidents in 2021 that were fatal. Being a police officer is not the most dangerous job. Matter of fact, people being a logger, being a fisher, being a hunter, they have more fatality rates than even police. So when you get a police officer or somebody that's pro-police getting up on these YouTube streets or on social media talking about policing is dangerous. Yes, it can be a dangerous job, but they're not even killed like that. This is from you can look it up yourself. Go to the labor statistics data. That, according to the census of the fatal occupation injuries from the Bureau of Labor Statistics for 2021, there were 82.2 fatal per 100,000 full-time workers for logging workers, fishers, hunters, workers following behind, with a rate of 75.2 per 100,000 full-time. Okay, those are the most dangerous jobs. Being a logger worker, working with wood, trees, you have a higher chance of a fatality in that type of occupation. Not being a police. That's a myth that they've been putting out there. Construction jobs can also be deadly. Construction trade helpers, for instance, was among the occupations with the highest fatality injury rates. This job had a rate of per 100,000 full-time workers about 22.9%. So being a logger, being a construction worker, a fisherman, a hunter, those type of physical jobs, they actually die at higher rates in doing their job than even a police officer. So when someone tells you that police officers, I'm not saying that police officers don't have a difficult job and that they're not in a job where their life can't be in danger. I'm not saying that at all. But in terms of when you look at the labor statistics data, police officers are not even being killed as much as those jobs that I just named. And this whole notion when police say, hey, I thought my life was in danger. Your life can't be in danger, sir, when the person that you're trying to arrest or you think did something is running away from you. You all saw Walter Scott in South Carolina, who was shot in the back by that officer, running away from the officer. And we all saw them trying to put the whipping on him. It's some crooked stuff going on out here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm here to tell you about it. Let me go ahead and show you another video. This video is gritty. This video is from the dirty South. This video is from Memphis. Okay, they're out there in the streets, in the elements, and they're telling you what's really going on with that Scorpion unit. This is a 6-minute video, which will be the video that will lead us to the conclusion of this program today. Don't sleep on this video. Listen to what these brothers are saying. Don't judge them. They're out there in the elements. They're out there in Memphis, in the area where that police department that patrols those streets that harmed Tyre Nichols, they're telling you exactly how they get down. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. And welcome to the streets of Memphis in that particular area.
In Memphis, Tennessee, what part of Memphis are we in right now?
South Memphis, the heart of the South.
Fair use.
All right, South Memphis.
Fair use.
Okay, obviously, first I'm gonna ask y'all your name if y'all want to give y'all name or whatever. I'm gonna start to my left right here. What's your name right here?
Bando
Lando. What's you?
Take it.
All right, and what?
Nino Brown.
Okay, the big story that everybody talking about really all over the country and all over the world is the situation with the Memphis police officers. And really, I want to ask y'all about, living in this neighborhood in the inner city. Obviously, y'all have probably experienced some dealings with the police officers, the police, in the past. And, you can go over there and talk to those people at the protest, but a lot of people that don't even live in the hood, in the areas that affect people, But so I want to ask y'all, what are y'all basic thoughts on that? Like, what do y'all think about that whole situation?
Oh, man, I think it's messed up from the beginning, though. It's been police brutality for years, decades. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like justice should be served. They should get what they deserve, but be justified on both ends. Don't just justify the black cop, justify the white cops, Hispanic cops, Japanese, Asian, it don't matter. Don't just set an example of people on this group. You know what I'm
Not saying
saying?
what they did, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
but wrong, but you know what
Oh,
I'm
yeah, they
saying?
wrong.
So what
They
y'all
wrong,
saying
but-
is now the fact that there are black cops involved,
Right.
and now they're really going to make sure the cops get what they.
Right.
They
trying to set
right.
Yeah, they trying to set an example on our people fast. Like we just unhumane, you know what I'm saying? But it's been going on for centuries. The police been beating us and everything, getting off with pay. But now since they done it, now they fired, facing charges, quick.
Now
You know what
they
I'm
back
saying?
out though. They out.
On bond.
They got on bond.
Yeah.
So what? Have any of y'all ever had any personal dealings with the police? And how are the Memphis police like in this area? Like, what can y'all say about that?
Man, keep it funky. It's a real bitch ass nigga.
Woo!
Step.
Man,
Keep it real funky.
We can curse.
We just don't.
we curse.
I don't deal with Twitter. I don't deal with Twitter.
Making sure
Try to avoid them. Get out their way.
For real.
They look for trouble.
Yeah, they look for trouble. They
look for
touch
trouble.
you for no fucking reason. Like you just.
So y'all
be-
say basically a lot of the Memphis police officers are corrupt.
I can't say.
I ain't gonna say a lot of them.
I say some of them.
Right. Because there's good cops too.
Yeah, it
Everywhere,
is,
good
it
and bad
is,
cops.
it is.
Have y'all ever had any run-ins with those particular police officers or know them?
What? Which one? The bad ones or the good
The
ones?
ones who was involved in that situation.
Oh, no, I ain't ran into them.
Thank God.
Okay.
Stay away from
Mine.
Thank God.
Are y'all familiar with? I guess they worked in a unit called the Scorpion Unit.
I just heard of this shit.
I just heard
And the police chief was saying that she created that unit to crack down on violent crime like homicides and robberies and rapes and things like that in Memphis. And they say it's been successful. So I guess those officers thought they was above the law.
Where it's been successful.
I'm just where it been successful.
I mean, that's what the chief said.
I ain't seen shit.
You know they'll say anything to
take her ass on.
say or something.
Hey, make it sound good.
Make it sound good.
How long that she been the chief?
I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
They switching out like
clothes.
Like clothes. I couldn't tell you.
Right. So, what do y'all hope happened to those officers? Y'all hope they get like
I hope I hope justice be served. It don't matter because they black, but I hope justice be served. But
the right way.
Don't the right way. You hear me? Don't try to go over and beyond on them because they African American cops. You know what I'm saying? Serve justice. No, serve justice, but make sure it's proper justice.
And prayers go after their family too.
Yeah,
for real. Prayers go after them.
Most definitely.
Right. So what, as far as this neighborhood around here, what's some of the main issues with y'all? Are y'all from around here?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the main issues around this area?
Poverty. Man. You see how we living? Man, this is the project, man.
And this is the main spot where they want to be.
This
the main place where they want to hit.
Man.
You can't walk up and down this street without seeing one of their ass.
Man, they ready to stop.
Ready.
So, can y'all think of any specific negative interaction y'all ever had with the police that y'all can speak about?
Yeah. I was in school, you know what I'm saying? And me and my little brother, we was in school and we were just making it to the store. By the time she would come out the store, the police pulled us over. We got on uniform and everything.
School uniform?
Yeah, school uniform. They pulled us over like, what y'all doing? Like, what you mean what we doing? We just came about the store. They came, jacked us up and everything, told my little brother to take his hand out of his pocket. And we in school. So it was like, shit, they searching us like we was drugged them.
Right.
Yeah.
That happens on a frequent.
What about you? You ever had any incidents like that?
Numerous. Man, I done had the police come to my mama's house, man, snatch me up out of there, put guns in me and my little brother in them face. All that, like.
What was they there for?
No, they were there looking for me, but they used excessive force. Like, y'all got y'all guns drawn and everything. Ain't no me and my little brother.
I was in school then.
We was in there eating.
Big buff-ass police officer, female.
Man.
Had the motherfucking gun in my head, told me don't move. I got a damn pizza box in my hand. Like, damn.
You take a bite of that.
What? Appreciate you all, and let me give some respect to
Screwlistic, who gave me a $5 super chat. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you for the super chat.
And as a result of you giving me that super chat, and I see we got Brother Speaks podcast in there. Thank you. And as a result of that, let me give you the super chat music.
Thank you for the super chat.
Time to run it off. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, just wet. Time to run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Time to run it off. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, just wet. Time to run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Time to run it off. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turn to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to.
Right. Look, everybody. Someone else came through pretty strong for me. Dever Guns gave me a super chat with that European, the pounds. Gave me those $10 pounds. I appreciate that. Saying great information show. Hey, why I play the next super chat music for Dever Guns, everybody. Before I end this program, I want to get your thoughts about that video that I just played for you, because those guys are out there living on those streets. They see what's going on. This is a bigger problem. I think this is even bigger than Tyre Nichols. Tyre Nichols, what happened to him was tragic, was terrible. But what it's showing you is that this issue is pervasive in that community, and it's a reflection of a broken police system, which we know comes out of slave patrols, and is pervasive throughout all this country that we live in. I don't care if you're from Detroit, New York, California, Oakland, Birmingham, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas somewhere, Dallas, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Baltimore, Maryland, New York, Brooklyn, the Bronx, wherever you're from. Black people seem to have the same disposition problem with policing in this country, no matter where we're from in America. Philadelphia, there's issues there, all over the damn place. But with that said, let me give her some super chat music as well.
Thank you for the super chat. Information is power. Thank you for the super chat.
Tell the truth.
I want to know what your thoughts are about that video that I showed you. But the faith factor says the police always throw charges on black men and women hoping something sticks. You're absolutely right. Let me shout out and give a lot of respect to Black Anonymous, who says, so if the task force was designed to stop violent crime, why would they be involved in a traffic stop? That's a very good point. They are really designed to take on the worst of the worst criminals. Right? They're designed. That is what they're designed for, not routine traffic stops. But as you know, they've been disbanded. It's everything about this is a shame. Black Anonymous. We've got Street Media TV, who says peace, black power to the whole chat room. Thank you. Brother Keith Weston says this: information man, guys like that are hired by police departments on purpose to flex muscle in the streets. I refuse to believe the police chief did not know what they were capable of. Well, as earlier in the broadcast, Brother Keith, I played videos that show that the CJ Davis is the one who partly, not just her by herself, but she is the police chief. She put that unit together along with other police officers in that department. And because she had experience in doing this in Atlanta, where they put together the same type of unit called Red Dawn, which was doing the same thing. And of course, she also got fired from her job in Atlanta due to some not doing her job correctly as it related to a sexual abuse scandal that was going on, a case. Let me just say a case. We got T-Mac 87 saying Mobile, Alabama have bad cops too. That's facts.
Tell the truth.
Let's go back in here and look at what we got here. RY, what's going on, RY? Good to see you. Let me see. Black Anonymous says, hey, beautiful Bernice is in the house. We're always glad to have her here supporting the channel. She's been coming over a lot more lately, which I really enjoy and like. Keith Weston says, Information Man Show, I'll definitely have to rewatch this session. Great, but yeah, watch this because a lot of the things that you're talking about, Brother Keith, I covered it earlier. I started this stream a little bit late, a little bit after 3. You know, personal things get in the way sometimes, but you do the best you can, you know. Deborah Gunn says, my heart hurts for these brothers. We shouldn't have to live like this. Yeah, we shouldn't. And just keep this in mind. Black women definitely are going to have to watch yourself as well, because our women and our children are seen as what? Soft targets. And when you're seen as a soft target, you can potentially be attacked. And they've been doing that. You notice over the years, they've been attacking our children in these schools. You had the one kid, remember the one child? I think the child was from Memphis or North Carolina. He got arrested and brought to court because he picked some daisy plants. I think he was like 7 years. I think he was a 6-year-old or something. Let me see what else we got in here. We got Screwlistic who says this. Let me see what he's saying. Ain't no secret. We know it's built in. Yeah, we know what it's built on. Slave patrols. There's never been a relationship with police that's been one that black people have benefited from fully. Now, let me give you a little bit of history here, if I can, ladies and gentlemen, as I get ready to show myself once more. And I really appreciate everybody that's here. And it's about telling the truth. The history of policing. Now, we know that white police were allowed to police black communities back in the 40s and the 50s and what have you, right? And they didn't allow black men or black women to be in the police departments. When they first allowed black people to be police officers, they only allowed black people to patrol black communities and arrest black people. Black police were not allowed to arrest white people, but the flip side of that is that white officers could arrest white people and they can arrest anybody black that they chose to arrest and put any kind of charges on us that they chose to stick on us. One of the reasons why the industrial complex system of prison became what it became, because they were arresting black men for any and everything that they could and throwing us right into the prison. This all came about right after we came out of slavery. Okay, this all came about. Excuse me. Dry lips. So all this stuff, policing, all this stuff has a connection to occupying and trying to control black communities. Now, what's going on? I see we got my man CBN Tech Talks. What's going on? Now, you have heard this, and I've heard this too. You have a black person who joins the police department and they say, I'm joining the police department to make a difference. If we're not in it, we can't make a difference. Now, it sounds noble. It sounds like, hey, if we have more black police, then black people gonna get a better shot. I think what those 5 police officers did, particularly the black police officers, we know that Preston has been fired, but he needs to be charged. And the 7th officer, they haven't said, I don't know what his name is. If you know his name of the 7th officer, put it in the chat room. What we're finding out is that this is taking those relations way far back. That it gives this notion and feeling for us as black people that it doesn't matter if you got black men a part of the police department. They'll just acquiesce. They'll just reinforce what the white cops have done to us for years. That they're not going to bring a different perspective because they're going to be engulfed by the perspective of the occupying force of the police departments. And remember, I said on several videos in the past that it was the FBI that reported that in 2006, a lot of white nationalist groups have infiltrated policing. So even if black men are going into the police department, white officers or white nationalist groups are still dominating these police departments. So how much difference can black police officers make when the system is a system that they did not create? It wasn't a system designed for them. And it's not a system that's even they're in charge of, even if you got a black police chief. We can name it all across this country. You've had black police chiefs in Chicago and black people still get harmed by police in Chicago. You've had black police chiefs in Philadelphia, Baltimore. We can name it. We had black police chiefs in San Francisco. We've had black police chiefs in Oakland, and black people were still being hunted down by a group called the Riders. For those of you who lived in Oakland, who understand Oakland culture, you had a group called the Riders. They were a group of renegade police officers that were going around harming black people and going after black men that have come out of prison and planting drugs on them. Okay, so it doesn't matter if a black person is in charge of these police departments. This stuff will still happen because we really are not in charge of them as we think we do. It's a delusion and almost coming to a conclusion that it ain't been working. In this situation with Brother Nichols and those 5 cops, it doesn't help the situation anymore. Now, there may be cops out there, black cops out there that are trying to do the right thing. They're like in a cesspool. Let's look at the numbers. Many people on YouTube are not talking about the numbers. Let's look at the numbers of this police department, as I told you in the first video. Okay. Memphis Police Department is made up of 13% black officers across the board. That's women and men. Okay, the Memphis Police Department, and I'll look these numbers up for myself, is made up of 9% Latinos or Hispanics across the board, men and women. The police department in Memphis is highly made up of what, ladies and gentlemen? 67% made up of Caucasians, white people, man and woman. Okay? Now, as far as the sex situation, 84% of that police department is made up of males. 16% of the police department in Memphis is made up of females. So 13% is black people, 67% is white people. Who do you think really is in control of the police department in Memphis, even though C.J. Davis is the police chief? And she's going to certainly be held accountable for her role, what she didn't do, what she did wrong, how. And you got to understand this is that these police officers have been doing this for a long time under her watch. So therefore, she does deserve some blame for this and should lose her job. And I'm not saying this because I'm going with the Jason Woodlock about the single mother thing. No, I'm talking about just straight policing. That if it was a black man that was in charge, I'd be saying the same thing. I think that she's going to be held accountable at some point in time. I'm surprised that she hasn't stepped down, and this will be and if she does get let go, it'll be the second time in her police career because she was let go in Atlanta. That all that doesn't look good for her when you look at all of it on the surface. And this shouldn't have never happened to Brother Nichols. He ran into the wrong type of individuals, and they laughing, they're giggling, talking about, hey, I fought with them. You know, you see the videos, they're laughing, they're giggling, they think it's cute. The whole situation makes no sense. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I played this on the last video that I did about this subject matter, and just wanted to play this as a reminder. If I can find the video. And the laughter. This whole thing is I believe this is the video right here.
About what just happened.
So my tickets are to the ground. So I like my leg, bro. I know I'm gonna see this.
One officer even brags it's one of the longest fights he's been in. Throughout the incident, you hear Nichols groaning in pain. In Dallas.
That's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It's a damn shame.
Tell the truth.
Let's go back. Oh, and I think Faith Factor gave me a super chat. So let me give her some respect here and read her super chat. The Faith Factor says she gave me a $10 super chat, which I really appreciate.
Thank you for the super chat.
And the Faith Factor says this. Information man, women were being arrested for simply not having ID in Chicago. Crooked cops taking advantage of them sexually in exchange for not taking them to jail. I believe that. 210%. You're absolutely right. And we need to also recognize some of the fanfoolery and the BS that happens with our women as it relates to policing as well. That doesn't get talked about oftentimes, but let me do this real quick. I see I got CBM text talk. Good evening, my brother information man. I've been listening and teaching my son about today's broadcast. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's go back over to Faith Factor. And with that said, here's some super chat celebration to you.
Thank you for the super chat.
Time to run it up. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Time to run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Time to run it up. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Time to run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Time to run it up. 9 out of 10, roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turn to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone me. I'm number one up on that court, I'm Nick McGrady. The first one in, the last one out, can't call me lazy. Put in my hours, send the invoice and they pay me. I need 6 rings like MJ and Tom Brady. I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check.
One more video that I need to show you all before we get ready to get out of here. I thank everybody for rocking with me today. Empress Goddess, let me give you some respect and love there. Make sure you check out her channel, give her a subscribership. She's been heavily supporting me on any platform that I'm on, literally, as many of you there in the chat room. But let me play one more video that's going to take us home. This is about that Scorpion unit. And I played this in the first video that I did. As I said, that first video has an age restriction on it. So it'll look like the video's been disappeared, but it hasn't. You can still watch that video. And I hope that YouTube doesn't mess with this video, because maybe I'm talking too much damn truth here.
Tell the truth.
They seem to do that. They'll suppress the video, make sure that it doesn't get the views that it should get. But let me show you this video right here. I showed this in the last one that I did. And I think, this is the video that I wanted. This is what I want to show you. This video, I don't know how many of you heard about this. This is a video of a 12-year-old black youngster who has autism. He was handcuffed and accused and harmed by the police. This is a story that I wanted to talk to you all about before, but let's play it right now. This was a shame, ladies and gentlemen.
Richmond police are investigating after a 12-year-old with autism suffered a concussion during an interaction with officers. Our Melissa Hippolyte spoke with the boy's mother tonight and tells us what happened.
He loves the beach. Sheila Jackson wanted her son, who has autism, to feel comfortable around police officers. Her uncle was an officer, and she has a lot of respect for what they do.
I wanted him to have a positive view of police officers and not all of the negativity that he sees on TV.
So she signed him up for the after-school tennis program at VCU, where officers from the Richmond Police Department volunteer through the Richmond Police Athletic League.
My son is interested in tennis, and this will be his second year.
But on November 3rd, Jackson showed up at the tennis courts to find her son on the ground in handcuffs.
This is the lesson that we all have to learn, ladies and gentlemen. You heard what she said. She wanted her son to have a positive view of the cops. We have to understand that although our thoughts are noble, that we want to get along with people, one of the failures in this is that we keep trying to run away from the obvious, which is some of these cops out here don't have love for our kids. We keep hearing stories left and right about black kids being harmed by cops. And this was a hard lesson for the mother to learn again. I hate to say that.
We end up going to VCU emergency room. They diagnosed him with a TBI, concussion.
Jackson said the staff at the tennis program said her son was getting frustrated while working on his serves, and they told him to practice off to the side, but she's unclear on what happened next. Her son says one of the police officers raised her voice at him, and he started to walk away from her.
He knows and tries to self-regulate to walk away from the situation. She may have thought he was being defiant.
After that, Jackson says her son says the officer grabbed him.
When I got here, my son was handcuffed on the ground right behind where that fence is opened at. There was an officer holding his head. There was an officer on his left leg, someone on his right leg. There was an officer on his right side kneeling, holding his shoulders down. And then there was another officer standing up.
Jackson says Richmond police told her that her son headbutted an officer and they were worried he was going to run, but she's still not sure why he was handcuffed.
After a 12-year-old with autism suffered a concussion.
That's making me angry, everyone. I'm very pissed off. Let me just say something. The young man has autism. I've worked with kids with autism. They need to learn personal skills. They need to learn to interact with people. But when you're working with kids with special needs, you have to be very patient and understand that their minds don't operate like children who do not have those conditions, because it takes them longer to process information, which is why he got frustrated probably with trying to give his tennis swing. He went there to play tennis. Why is he being accosted by police? He went there to learn tennis. Why is he ending up with a concussion? Once again, where are the so-called good cops? Why did this happen to a youngster who has a disability? Then we have to also ask ourselves, the people who were teaching her son tennis, why didn't they say something to the police? Don't they understand that they're dealing with a child who has special needs? I feel sorry for the mother. And damn it, where are the fathers when this stuff happens? Where are the... I played that because they're harming this is reality. They harm black men when we're kids. It all starts when we're kids. How many of you remember it? Now, I played that for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. I did a video a long time ago. It's probably in my library of videos, where I looked up data that showed that if black youngsters, that police who have run-ins with black kids when they're very, very young. When a black child has bad run-ins with police when they're 12, 11, 10, 9, and 8 years old, and that when police have bad run-ins with black children, they are highly likely to harm us as adults and take our life. They did a psychological study in New York, the New York police. And the reason why the police in New York have a disposition towards our kids is because of the stereotypes about black people, black men in particular. And that study found that if you are if police have a bad experience with black children when they're very young, that police officer is more likely to treat us bad as adults and are highly likely to take our lives. I'm going to probably have to do a mini show up. I'm going to have to pull up that data again and do like a little 45-minute show just to remind people of that data. They treated that young man, I don't like using that word boy, but they treated her son like a criminal because that's what they think of black people, of black males. They didn't see him as a child with disability. The mother said that she's taught him to regulate himself. And he might have struck them because they were effing with him and he was trying to protect himself from these race soldiers.
Tell the truth.
Tell me I'm not lying. And here we go with last call, my man. Information man also apparently and given harsher punishment at young age. Yeah. They give us harder punishment in school. You know what they do to us in school? If you're a black male, they'll define you as hyperactive, out of control, because usually when we're in the classroom, we're bored out of our mind. We're bored by the teacher. We're bored by the curriculum. We're bored because we're told to sit down in a seat and be inside of a classroom with those white walls that were designed to sedate you. Black people and black children learn better when we're interactive in our learning. We learn better when we're in a room filled with colors and bright colors and beautiful greens and things of that nature, and we're involved in our learning actively, especially boys. And then we're told to sit out in a classroom. We get bored by that, and when a young man is expressing that boredom, we're defined as hyperactive. We're defined as a out of control youngster. And then as what's that book by Sister Alexander? It's the school to prison pipeline, right? So when we're in school, they criminalize us when we're young in school to prepare us for the penal system, the industrial complex system.
Tell the truth.
Now, you know I'm telling the truth. And we got Lady Legs. Lady Legs 75, thank you for coming over. I appreciate you so much. Deborah Guns, I appreciate you. Oh, we got my man Bronx, Flat Power Earth. Yes.
Tell the truth.
All same order, fam. Exactly. I appreciate you coming over, brother, and blessing us with your presence. Woo. Janet, he needs to be charged. He can't get away with this. What's going on? Now, here comes the last video to end our program today. I showed you the other video with the young, her son who has autism, treated poorly by cops. But let me show you another video for all videos. Have you all heard of Anthony Lamb? This is a brother who's an amputee, meaning he's a double amputee. He doesn't have both of his legs, in California, in Huntington Park, California. And even if he did something wrong, he wasn't getting away anywhere. Now, they said he had a knife in his hand. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but he still shouldn't have been shot in the way that he was shot. Let me let you see this video right now.
Anthony Lowe, just days after
Anthony
he was
Lowe
shot and killed by police in Huntington Park. And she says she doesn't understand how her son, a double amputee in a wheelchair, was a threat to officers. Rob Hayes has more.
Anthony Lowe Jr. was just 36 years old when he was shot to death by Huntington Park police officers last week after police say he threatened them with a knife. He was also a double amputee who was in a wheelchair.
Son, they murdered my son in a wheelchair with no legs.
Today, Lowe's family and members of the Coalition for Community Control over the Police held a news conference in front of the Huntington Park Police Department condemning the shooting as another example of police brutality.
He's out of his wheelchair. He's amputated in both legs at the knee, and he's moving away from the officers.
The Huntington Park shooting comes on the heels of this.
Damn, I didn't do anything.
The beating death of Tyre Nichols at the hands of 5 Memphis police officers. Body cam video showing the brutal assault stirring nationwide protests. And Lowe's family members say this case is reminiscent of the 2020 killing of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police officers.
This situation is worse than George Floyd. Period. When these videos go out, it's going to be all bad.
She's referring to surveillance and cell phone video that the LA County Sheriff's Department has collected. Sheriff's investigators are now heading up the probe into the officers involved in the shooting.
If you guys are here to protect and serve us, protect us, serve us. You know, don't kill us.
Eyewitness News reached out to the Huntington Park Police Department. Officials declined to comment on camera, but released a written statement saying Lowe was armed with a 12-inch butcher knife, had already stabbed one man, and was refusing to drop the knife, threatening to throw it at officers. According to the statement, officers tased Lowe twice, and when he tried throwing the knife at the officers again, they opened fire. Lowe was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, the officers involved in the shooting are on paid administrative leave. There is no body cam video.
Paid administrative leave, y'all.
Because Huntington Park Police don't wear those cameras.
All right. So basically, you heard them say the Huntington Police Department, the officers there do not wear body cams. They should be required to. All these cops should be required to. Now, they're saying that Anthony Lowe attacked someone with a knife and that there's video, and I could have shown that video, but you know, YouTube is funny style. I seen the video where it looked like he had something shiny in his hand. This is my point. I'm not trying to say that the brother was innocent of what he did, because I don't know. All we do know is that they did find a knife. He had a butcher knife. That's what they said, right? I don't know. My point is that he didn't need to be shot. He's a double amputee. He has no legs. He's in a wheelchair. He jumps out of the wheelchair. He tries to get away without his wheelchair. He ain't going nowhere. How far do you think he's really going? And it take all these the cops to shoot him like that? It wasn't necessary, because even if he did have the knife in his hand and I saw something shiny in the video, he wasn't lunging towards the cops. He was running away from them. So even if he had a knife in his hand, he didn't pose any danger towards the cops. He posed a danger. Now they're saying that he was trying to go after the cops with it. I don't know. But the point is that he was shot and the man has no legs. Now check this out. Another thing that you may not know, the reason why Anthony Lay doesn't have any legs is because he had a run-in with the police a long time ago. And as a result of that run-in with the police a long time ago, he lost his legs in that exchange. Now, let's take a vote right here before I end the program. How many of you were aware of this situation? It hasn't picked up the steam as the Tyre Nichols case has picked up steam, but I think they're talking about it and it's probably going to pick up some steam. How many of you in the chat room are aware of this situation? Put a 7 if you are aware. If this is the first time of you hearing about this situation that I just presented to you right now on video, news video, put an 8 in the chat room. If you are just hearing about it for the first time, put an 8 in the chat room right now. If you were aware of this situation, put a 7 in the chat room. I'll wait. All right, let's go over and see what we got going on here. So let's see. Alan Christian, who I think Alan Christian super chatted me. Thank you for that. I think you did, but Alan Christian, Empress Goddess didn't know about it. Wow, a lot of people didn't know about it. Karen knew about it. Just Alicia, she knew about it. No, she didn't know about it. Deborah Guns didn't know about it. RY didn't know about it. Keith Weston says, I never heard it until now. See, that's what we're talking about. Empress Goddess didn't know about it until now. Oh, we got first to left. Rhythm is in the house. What's going on, sister? First that she heard about it too. Brunt's Flat Power Guy says first time he's heard of it. Another Gmail. Shoot first and drink coffee second. Academy 101. Man. And we got my man CBN Tech Talks says the first time he heard about he heard about it. Sky Lister said 8. Last call says 7, he knew about it. Jill's Chocolate Boutique says 7, so she knew about it. Empress Goddess didn't know about it. Alan Christian knew about it, or didn't know about it. And let me see if I can make out this name. Fowler. Fowler put number 8 for did not know about it. So I'm glad that I could provide this video for you to know about what took place. Now, I may have another video for you that's going to blow you away, folks. This was a video that I played in the first show that I did about the Tyre Nichols. And I think I want to play this video. A man recalls encountering with the Scorpio unit. This is a guy who spoke out after the situation very quickly. Let's hear what he said. Again, I think everybody needs to hear this again.
Police haven't told us what units they were with during their time on the force, but some who know the officers say at least one confirmed he and we're hearing several were with the newly created Scorpion Squad. The MPD started in 2021 as a solution to fight crime. And this audio report testified of police radio traffic the night of Tyre Nichols' meeting specifically mentioned calling more Scorpion units to the scene.
You know, the Scorpion car pull over to East Ranger Road. You have one running on foot.
Cornell McKinney says the same Scorpion unit stopped him January 3rd, 4 days before Nichols was pulled over.
I actually read it on the back of their vest. It said MPD Scorpion unit.
It was at this Marathon gas station at Ridgeway in Knight Arnold as he was catching a ride with a friend.
All I heard is freeze, get out the car. Put your MF hands up before I blow your heads off. Both of you, get out the car. So put your hands up. So I put my hands up, and one of the officers proceeded to come to the car, and he physically pulled me out by my shoulder with a gun no more than a foot away from my head.
He says the officers in unmarked cars would never say why they had been stopped. He took this picture of the stop. They eventually asked who the drugs belonged to.
I said, man, I just went across the street to get a pizza, and I'm on my way back to the house. He's like, well, who finna rap for this pound? I said, well, can we call my lawyer? And the officers, he yelled out, well, this ain't court, this ain't a time for lawyer. I was like, man, I just came to get a pizza. So he was like, man, we just playing, it ain't a pound in a car. And he let me walk off.
He showed us his call log when he says he placed 2 phone calls to MPD's internal affairs to complain about the officer's forcefulness. But he says he still hasn't heard back. Then he saw the picture of the 5 officers fired in the Tyre Nichols case.
I was like, that's them. I said, that's crazy, that's them. I said, now they don't really hurt somebody. This could have been prevented if the internal affairs took action like I was asking them to do.
We asked Memphis Police about the stop involving Cornell McKinney and are all.
Here you have a black man who made a police complaint. And he says that maybe the Tyre Nichols circumstance could have been prevented had they did something. Who do you think that falls on? Once again, I hate to go here like this. I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to do a Jason Woodlock where I'm trying to blame what they did on all black women. No, I'm not doing a Jason Woodlock. I'm just doing simple police procedures. So if Miss Davis is the police chief and this man is making complaints, then it must fall on the chain of command like the military. That chain command should be a sergeant, whoever's in charge. Her as the police chief. Someone has to do something, but they did nothing, which is what the brother is saying, that maybe it could have been prevented, but nothing was prevented. That's what we're saying here, ladies and gentlemen. So as a result, this young man here is no longer with us. Tyre Nichols, you see him in some of his photographs here, having a good time with his camera. It's a damn shame. His mother, emotional as she has been, rightfully so. The father, stepfather, I think the mother was married before. And then this is the stepfather that you see to the left. So that whole thing that Jason Woodlock was saying was a bunch of hogwash, because Tyre Nichols came from a 2-parent family, and the 5 black men officers who did this to him, I don't know whether they had a mother, father, whatever. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But then what about the white officer, Preston? He was certainly involved in that nonsense that night. Shouldn't we be able to define him, as Jason Woodlock say, as a byproduct of a single white mother, a byproduct of a broken family system within white society? Can we define him as certainly the same way as Jason Woodlock tried to define black women in this case, or, giving a generalized statement? Can we do the same thing? Shouldn't we be able to put that same earnest on someone like Preston that you see right there before your very eyes? Shouldn't we be able to place blame on him as a product of a broken white family system? Shouldn't we be able to, hun? Jason Woodlock, hun?
I would examine the racial element of this, because there is a racial element. And this is a story about young black men and their inability to treat each other in a humane way. Everybody involved in this on the street level was either 24 to 32 years old. Everybody was a group of young black men, 5-on-1. Looked like gang violence to me. It looked like what young black men do when they're supervised by a single black woman. And that's what they got to do.
Now, let me stop that nonsense right there. So there are certainly white officers who have beaten and put their hands on black young men, black women. So shouldn't we be able to say that white men that have beaten and put their hands on black men, shouldn't they be defined as coming from the single white family structure that's out of control? When they're supervised by white family members, or in this case white women, shouldn't we be able to place the same type of ideology on Preston right here, who was involved in tasing and saying, I hope they stump him, right? So if you're gonna define black cops attacking a black man, which is wrong on all levels, as being a form of gang violence, you should be able to define white men who are in the police departments across this country who did the same thing. We had Rodney King, who was stumped down and beaten up. So those cops in LA should be defined as what? Gang behavior and coming from dysfunctional white families. So you can't put it, if you're gonna say that about the black cops that harmed and took the life of Tyre Nichols, then you can't certainly leave white cops out that do the same thing to black people and have been doing it to us for centuries. So so the bottom line is, what's good for the gunner is good for the geese. And white men who have been doing this, you must define them as a byproduct of the single white mother. And then a lot of these police departments are run by white male or female police chiefs. So if they're under the supervision of a white police chief, certainly they should be defined as also a person that's a byproduct of a dysfunctional white family structure, shouldn't they? And that's what makes Jason Whitlock look so goofy. I saw him on the video on Daniel's YouTube channel, and brother Daniels ripped a hole in him from Sunday to 1,000 miles away. So he did a hell of a job coming at Jason Whitlock. I just had to bring that up because it's so ridiculous to define these officers were wrong. They were dirty in what they did, but it certainly is what they did was like a gang violence towards a civilian. Then you have to add Mr. Preston to the same philosophy, who put his hands on brother Tyre Nichols, as you see here on the skateboard, enjoying what he enjoyed doing, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, when this happens, as I said in the beginning of the show, the usual suspects will show up, which is the Benjamin Crumps of the world, right? Will show up and show out for the cameras and for the press and whatever the economic benefits of it is. And then, of course, we get the Al Sharptons of the world, who should not be taking photos. That's y'all preacher, y'all. Who show up and show out for the cameras as well. And I just say to myself sometimes, I say, do we not have other black leadership besides the Al Sharptons and the Benjamin Crumps of the world? Are there certainly other black civil rights attorneys? Are there certainly other black leadership? It's like the usual stuff. It's like the Three Stooges. When something goes wrong, you can expect Sharpton and a Benjamin Crump. Then they have a funeral. Everyone obviously is upset, protesting, and then after the protest is over and a black man is dead, it's the same old thing. Everyone says he's in a better place now. It's what God intended. It was the mission that God put him on. That's all wrong. I'm going to say it again. It's all wrong. And everybody comes up. They have the gospel choir. And everybody gets into the celebration. Then here comes Joe Biden, who makes a couple of statements. Then he sends out Kamala Harris, who said, no, I'm not going to do anything just for black people. These people come out and they talk and do all this talking about what they're going to do. Joe Biden or Sleepy Joe Biden or Jim Crow Biden comes out. Jim Crow Biden.
Tell the truth.
Comes out and says, well, we should have passed the George Floyd bill, but we're going to have to try to do it. You've been in office for 3 years, man. What are you setting up here talking about after 3 years have passed, talking about you should be trying to pass something because now pressure is being put on you because of what happened to Tyre Nichols, which is something you should have done a long time ago, man. Once again, black men only get celebrated and spoken about in any high level in this society when we are dead or our life has been taken away by police. A damn, and I say again, a double shame. And I don't say that with any, I'm not happy about it. I don't celebrate it. It's just a damn shame. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get on out of here. I really appreciate everybody who's come over and joined the broadcast today. While this broadcast is ending, you see that ticker ticking down below. Please take the time to read what it's saying. I want to thank the mods in the chat room. I want to thank everyone who's come over that's new to the channel. Subscribe, hit the bell notification. I want to thank everyone that super chatted me. I I want to thank you for being patient when I didn't go on when I was supposed to go on at a certain time. I thank you for that, for coming over and keeping the faith with this channel. I am going to be probably dropping some more content maybe during the week. There's a lot of things going on that I haven't had a chance to talk about and get to. The Information Man Speaks podcast channel will be loading up content over there. Don't worry about that. For those of you who are trying to build YouTube channels, we'll be loading up content or pre-produced videos on the Info Media Live channel. For those of you who like sports, football, and college sports, I will be loading up more content on the Prime Sports Media channel. You can all find all my channels on this page. Scroll down. If you like sports, only if you like sports, subscribe to that channel. I'm really pissed off about this situation that took place. I'm really pissed off about the video that I showed you about the young child, young man who's I think 12 or 11 years old with autism that was given a concussion by the police, mistreated. I'm gonna say it again. Where are these so-called good cops when all this is happening? I'm sick of anybody who keeps. I don't want to hear anybody continuing that narrative on these YouTube streets. Don't want to listen to you. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. I got two things for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you got people on the YouTube streets or any kind of program telling you black folks don't need reparations, get the hell away from them. If you got people telling you that policing doesn't have some origins from slave patrol, get the hell away from them again. They don't know what they're talking about. They're not good stewards of history. Let me also bring this up. Remember I did the video about Chicago, what's happening out there in Woodlawn? Well, the citizens in Woodlawn were trying to block the bus to keep those migrants from moving into that school. Well, they moved those migrants in the school, and this is what I found out listening to WVON radio in Chicago. Do you know that those migrants, this must have been planned a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen, that the migrants in Chicago, when they got moved in, they had baskets and all types of stuff that these people had tons of their belongings. Wait a minute, if these people had traveled through the jungles and through the woods to get here, what they doing with all this stuff? It's orchestration, folks. You got people in Chicago who called up WVON radio and said, as soon as these people moved in, they gave them bicycles, and we start seeing them go in, and within a couple of seconds, or within a couple of minutes, they come out of the building riding bicycles all throughout the neighborhood. Like they know the place. Like, wait a minute. This is the restrictions that black people in this neighborhood were asking for. They already have enough problems in Woodlawn. These people get moved into a school that should have been converted for a program for the people who live there. They're given bikes and they're riding around the streets. You don't know what their criminal background is, what they're into, what. But the minute they come in, with all this stuff that they got, and they said on WVON that they won't let people see what's inside because they're probably living good in there, just the way the New York mayor, Raccoon Adams, when I showed y'all that video of all that stuff they had in there, the Xboxes and all of that, these people that just got here by the thousands, dropped off because they're being pushed out of the southern states, like Texas, like Florida, to these sanctuary cities, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, all these sanctuary cities like the Washington, D.C., the New Yorks, and San Francisco, last time I checked, they never put this on the ballot to ask citizens, do you want to be a saint? How can you be a sanctuary city when you can't even give sanctuary to the people that live in your community, that's born in your community, that's from there as citizens? You can't even give them sanctuary, and you want to give sanctuary for people who came over here by the droves, were sent to us by these southern states because we wanted to make ourselves a freaking sanctuary city, which is dumb if you can't even help the people that live in your damn city already. These people move in and they giving them bikes and they got all kind of packages and gear already prepared for them coming off that bus, and these people are riding through the community, and the people that live there don't even know who they are, what they got. what their intentions are, where they're coming from. There was even a report, I think in New York, where you had the migrants that were in a hotel and they wanted to move them somewhere else and they refused to move from the hotel. They're putting up a rebellion. And black folks, we're being gentrified out of our black communities. The Democrats and the Republicans ain't worth a bag of $3 fries. Oh well, anyway, that's my rant and my rave. I appreciate you all, everybody. I'm going to get ready to get on out of here. I really do appreciate you all. Let me, man, I really appreciate you all out there. So with that said, everybody, I thank you again for coming over and being a part of the program. Take care. Take care.
Information is power.
Peace.
Tell the truth.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all in the chat room. Appreciate all of you.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information man, please be sure to subscribe to this channel.
truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power. Information
Tell the truth.
is power.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.